You spent a few days last week leading up to the game, Senior Bowl, so you got to see the practices. You saw who the Browns were interested in. Take us through some of the folks that you thought were impressive, that you think kind of impressed the Browns as well from Mobile last week.
Well, I talked to three players in particular, actually four players in particular that the Browns have some interest in. And two of them were quarterbacks, and that is Malik Willis from Liberty and then Kenny Pickett from Pitt. Now, 5 of the 6 top quarterbacks in this draft were at the Senior Bowl. So I'm sure they spent time with all of them, and they will spend time with them even more so at the Combine coming up next month. But they got a chance to look up close and personal at Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, Carson Strong. These guys were all there, just right in front of them. They were able to see how the ball comes out. They were able to watch their footwork, see them, practice, interact with teammates. And it was kind of cool to see that many of the top quarterbacks there. Now, they might not be in the quarterback market at all, but they did spend time talking to some of these guys. And I know that, they had to have liked what they saw and heard from guys like Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. In fact, if one of those two guys were available at number 13, again, it's probably doubtful. But if either one of those guys fell there, I think it might be worth the chance of taking a little flyer on them as a developmental prospect.
Any non-quarterbacks that kind of opened your eyes and you thought, man, that might be somebody that the Browns pay attention to? Not necessarily at 13, but maybe even a little bit later, second, third round kind of things.
Yeah, there was South Alabama wide receiver Jalen Tolbert. He had a really, really nice week. Everybody was raving about Florida State defensive end Jermaine Johnson. He was somebody that anybody that was at the Senior Bowl was going to be looking at because he really stood out amongst all the defensive ends there. And then another really good defensive lineman was Georgia's Devontae Wyatt. So there were a lot of prospects there. There was a receiver there that I actually ended up liking a lot. Now, he's very, very small. So you would be getting him maybe as a punt returner in a later round. But there was just kind of something about him. He really stood out at the Senior Bowl. And his name was Calvin Austin III from Memphis. He's only like 5'7", 173 pounds. So there's probably a good chance they're not going to go for a guy of that size. But I'll tell you what, he can fly. He's a very, very good receiver. He was very shifty. He can return punts. He can take it to the house. And there was just something kind of cool about him.
Yeah, and again, somebody that threatens the defense from the wide receiver position, always a good thing for helping the Browns upgrade that passing game.